In our last episode, we talked about doing performance reviews with your staff. But you, as the dealer, owner, or senior manager in your dealership, should not be immune from this process as well. You need to review yourself in what we call a leadership self-audit. This introspection is important for you to perform your best. So let's talk about it in this episode of Down Payment.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. Dealers, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to talk about leadership self-audits. So we already talked about performance reviews and the importance of doing a performance review for your entire operation. But who's going to do the performance review for you? Well, you need to do a performance review for yourself. You are no exception. You need to be able to evaluate your performance, be able to identify your strengths and weaknesses, how you're performing against both quantitative and qualitative criteria. And to do that, you have to perform your own leadership self-audit. And you need to be honest and unsparing and non-negotiable about it. You need to audit yourself. And the biggest part is being able to be as objective about your own performance as possible. What matters is not your intention. What matters is not how you think you tried to do something. It's how you are being perceived and how effective you are with your operation. Are your priorities clear to your team, or is there confusion that is caused by you? How are you performing as a communicator? Are you inspecting what you expect? And do you look at that on a weekly basis or a monthly basis? Like, how effective really are you? That's what the leadership self-audit is about at its core. There are lots of different ways to look at your own performance and do a leadership self-audit, but you got to look at and see, are your minimum standards being documented through policy and procedures and being enforced? If you're not putting out policies, if you're not putting out procedures, if you don't have a mechanism for that going on, that's a performance weakness. Are you coaching your top managers so that they in turn mirror that coaching to the people underneath them? Coaching is such a key management skill, and it's something that we spend so little time on in our operations in the car business. And then delegating. Are you delegating, or are you the source of the bottleneck? Are you holding up your own operation? Are you micromanaging to an extent where it is hindering the performance of your managers and holding up progress? Dealership growth, we got to remember, depends on leadership throughout your operation. So you need to be mirroring and demonstrating the skills for your managers so that they in turn reflect that if you have a mid-level manager tier with their mid-managers, and that the mid-managers are then using those skills in the same way with your entry-level positions. You got to have leadership throughout your operation, not just at the top. And then you want to have an understanding of change. Change is something that is very much an important aspect of our businesses in this time and era. But you want change with purpose. You don't want change for the sake of change. Your goal is to get to better outcomes, less strain, higher quality, more consistent performance. And so you need to have some sort of change management paradigm that is identifying where your performance is not coming in where you want it. And then you strategize a method of improving that performance. You put those changes into place, and then you evaluate if those changes are producing effective results. You need to do that performance review on yourself so that you know that in all aspects of your leadership, you are performing your best. You're developing the right people. You're tightening your processes. you're adding talent where it can unlock additional growth, and that change is an advantage for your business and not a disruption. You want to focus on what matters. You want to measure what matters. You want to coach your people to drive results. You want to fix what causes problems, and you want to add talent where it truly improves your operation. If you can evaluate yourself realistically on those aspects and make the improvements that you need to make to be the best dealer for your operation, you're going to find success in 2026. With that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on doing a leadership self-audit. And with that, it's been another episode of Down Payment. Go sell some cars. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.